Okay, here we go. Round two. Please find a comfortable posture for your seat. And so, as I was saying, Nisargadatta Maharaj gave a really clear definition of meditation uh, in this week's reading of Ayamat. He goes to say that it's meditation is the process of becoming ever more in touch with subtler layers of consciousness. Meditation is, I'm paraphrasing, he said it better than me. Meditation is becoming ever more in touch with the subtler layers of consciousness. He begins by saying at first there's just this sort of physical realm of social situations, culture, sort of understanding how to behave, how to be, being mindful in the world, how to take care of your body, these sort of things. This is meditation. And then you start to get a little more refined. You start to listen to the sensations of the body. You start to listen to how to breathe smoothly and steadily. And then from there, you start to get even more subtle into the emotions and the thoughts, learning how to be very aware of this layer of consciousness. And then even beyond there, there's just the origination of our thoughts, of our sensations, this awareness or witness consciousness. And even subtler than that is the origin of all of it. And it's got this progression of experiencing subtler layers of consciousness. And we all know what it's like to be around or maybe even be ourselves sometimes in our lives. Crude, right? More physical, more in just the actions, the physical actions, and maybe not aware of our emotions or our thoughts in a given circumstance. We sort of lose attentiveness. And that this meditation practice is the opportunity to sort of excavate, so we have attentiveness and spaciousness. And we grow our sensitivity all the way through to the origin as far back as we can. It's a discovery process. And so when we take this posture of sitting still, we are not trying to force stillness upon ourselves. We're just using this time to pay attention to very subtle things. These things are so subtle, they do not require physical movement to pay attention to them. When you examine your feelings, sensations, thoughts, you do not require physical movement to pay attention to them. Even the breathing. And then even subtler than that, which we'll hopefully get to tonight, is just this witnessing, this observing presence. Even subtler than that is just the pure being. And so you've allocated this time to be in a physical space that is quiet enough to appreciate these subtle layers. And when the mind perhaps may run away with thoughts, And the mind may run away with thoughts. You can recognize it as, hey, there's still a need to grow more appreciative of something more subtle. Something gentler, more easeful than even thoughts, as thoughts could be quite crude. So as you sit, you're taking this journey into the more subtle. Depending on where you're coming from in your day, you might need more preliminaries than others. You may have to really focus on the breathing to gather that attentiveness. Let's all try that for a few rounds, really focusing on the breathing for a few rounds. You can decide how subtle is your appreciation. For some, you can just breathe through the nose and listen and feel and stay attentive. For others, you may have to count the exhales, counting to maybe 10. Each exhale, you'll say the number. And this counting helps keep your attentiveness on the subtle breathing. If you struggle there as well, you may have to count the length of the breath, counting maybe 4 to 6 counts on the inhale, and then maybe 4 to 6 counts on the exhale. And this helps keep the mind pointing its attention at the breath. So the most subtle is just to feel the in and outflow of breath. Middle stage is just to count the exhales. And the stage, if you're finding that the thoughts are drawing you away from your attentiveness to your breath, is to count the length of the inhale and exhale. See where your attentiveness lies. It is not a reflection of your enlightenment. It is not a pass-fail sort of circumstance. You're just gathering yourself, refining your ability to pay attention to ever subtler layers of consciousness. take a pause and rest a moment. See, could you keep track? Would you stay attentive? If you discern that I could have been more attentive, then you step down, either counting the exhale or counting the length of each half breath, and try to gather all of your attention into the observing of the breath. Let's try another round, learning to appreciate the subtler layers of consciousness. Relax again. See if you can just breathe softly. Appreciate the subtlety. One more round. This time, as you appreciate the breath, breathe softer, breathe slower, almost like you're sipping the air or savoring the in and out breath. Savoring the breath, gathering your attentiveness into the moment. Stay with it, this deepening of your breath. Whether your eyes are open or closed, feel the attentiveness, this drawing in sensation, like you were coming off of the outward looking eyes, almost like you were gathering energy off of the eyes, so that you're witnessing, your seeing would become an inner seeing. Your eyes will still see colors and shapes, but you aren't looking through the eyes. You're gathering the energy so you may perceive something more subtle than the physical world the eyes perceive. Begin by softening the tension you are holding around the eye, in the brow or cheek or temple, relaxing any tension held there, allowing that energy to retreat or turn inward towards the more subtle. We'll do the same for the ears. The ears will still hear the sounds of the physical world, hear my voice and the guiding of the meditation, but you're not reaching out to pay attention through your ears. Rather, you let that energy soften back, soften inward, so you could appreciate the more subtle. Start to look with this increase in subtle energy, the energy of the eyes and the ears, the sensitivity to deepen and soften your breath. Start to look for this feeling, the feeling of being present, feeling of being here in this moment. See if you can perceive this subtle layer of being present in this moment. See if you could appreciate it if you find it. Did you find it? Did you lose hold of it? As you appreciate and hold your attention on subtle things, it's like grasping sand versus keeping an open palm. The sand can rest and be in an open palm, but if you try to squeeze it, clutch it, it falls away. Savor, appreciate the feeling of being present. If you almost immediately race off, then you have to go back, counting your breath. It is not a judgment, it's just what are you capable of appreciating in the subtle realm. All it takes is time and a little bit of energy. Next time a thought arises, try to see the thought arise. Try to observe it emerging out of this feeling of presence. Try to see where the thought goes as it dissolves back into the feeling of presence. See if you can appreciate the subtle layer of watching thoughts, the energy of thoughts. It is different than being lost in thought. Go into what watches, what watches the thought, what was watching the breath, what felt the feeling of presence. Stare right at it, the eye of the mind. Fold yourself back into the watching, deep in your consciousness. Pour back into it. A very subtle layer indeed. Pour all of yourself into what's watching. Any energy for thought, for eyesight, for hearing, for breathing. Gather it all back. Look back into what's watching. Let it absorb it all. It'll even absorb itself beyond awareness, beyond watching. Realize you are returning into yourself. You did not ever stray. This world of images, thoughts, body, breath, feeling, they're just labels and forms. It's always been the self. Gather the energy and see it once again for what it is. Be once again what you already are. Absorb yourself back through the watcher. Relax from the practice.